Let's talk about the macros now, and I want to talk to you as far as the overall tax picture is concerned, and that's where the real cushion is coming, both as far as direct as well as indirect taxes are concerned. Of course, expenditure has also been higher on account of the food and fertilizer subsidy. How comfortable do you feel in terms of meeting the fiscal deficit target? There are, of course, estimates suggesting that we may, in fact, exceed on account of the higher expenditure. I want to get your view on where things currently stack up, both on the tax front as well as expenditure.
I was with the Finance Secretary just a couple of minutes ago, just before your interview started. And almost on a daily basis, we have a conversation. So I can say that the government is feeling very confident that we'll meet our fiscal deficit target of 6.4 in spite of very heavy burden on account of food subsidy, fertilizer subsidy, petroleum subsidy also to some extent having come back. But I think the higher revenues and some other measures which the expenditure side would have taken would see us this year to 6.4. Last year also I think we did 0.1% less and not more. So we have made a promise to the country that we'll take it to 4.5% in 25-26. I think in Ministry of Finance all of us are very conscious of that and always are working on that. And I think the people of this country have also helped us by paying more taxes, so revenues have come, which will take care of the higher expenditure.
So you feel confident of being able to achieve that fiscal glide path that you have committed to?
So what I'll say is that 6.4 is something that I feel should happen this year. There's no reason, even today, that I feel that we would exceed that 6.4. 4.5 is something that has been promised in the budget a year or 2 years ago. I would say that the government would stick to the fiscal path because that's very important for our overall economy and the macroeconomy. And the reason that we are seeing this growth and the confidence of the various investors in our country is also because of our commitment on all these factors, and also the fact that now we are much more transparent in terms of disclosing our expenditure, our liabilities than what it was before.
On the non-tax side, and particularly disinvestment, of course, over the last budget there has been an attempt to put in a much more realistic number, but even that so-called realistic number, the actual performance on the ground is far short of that. What do you think is the issue, and do you believe that once again there needs to be a relook at the way that the government is projecting both disinvestment as well as monetization? Because even as far as monetization is concerned, there is a wide gap between what the government had projected or estimated and where things currently stand on the ground.
Disinvestment, I would say this year's target is about 65,000, not about, it's 65,000 crores, and they are close to having achieved almost 30,000 or a little more. So let us see, there are still 4 months to go for the year to end, and there are some things in the offing. So I think the Disinvestment Ministry department would be close to the figure that they have projected in the budget. If it falls short or goes up by 5,000, 7,000, so that's not of so much of importance.
That's the gap that you envisage? You believe
I don't know.
It might be 5,000 or 7,000 up or down?
I don't know. There are a number of things that are in the offing. I've also been reading the newspapers. I have not had a time to discuss with Secretary Disinvestment as to what does he propose. He's already going. Today also there was a news item that IDBI is happening and happening pretty fast. So let's see whether it closes before March or closes in April or May. I would again say and agree to what Tuhin says in this regard, rather than pinning us down on 31st March on a particular figure. It's very important to take the process forward to ensure that money comes. So if it doesn't come on 31st March and even comes on 30th of April, I think we should be happy about it, that we have been able to crack it. As I had said it earlier, and he must have said it many times in the interview with you, that it was long, long ago, I think in the early 2000s, that we were privatizing our assets. After that, we stopped privatizing our assets. Now we have again started that. So that's a nice thing. It's a difficult process. We should accept that. That's a very difficult process. We have to be very careful we don't make a mistake. While I'm the one who's climbing that or walking on that rope, and there are so many people who are looking at me, and wherever I make a mistake, they are the ones who point out to me. So I have to be sure that I don't make any mistake. So let's give it to them that they're working very hard on that. It's not an easy task.
No, I'm not suggesting
that... I'm not saying that you're saying that.
And I totally understand the challenges that bureaucrats specifically have to face, because at the end of the day, it is you signing off on a particular transaction. But even as far as monetization is concerned, and again, this is what we're getting to hear, that the government may review, what has happened on monetization, and perhaps there is a need to course correct or acknowledge the experience and change a strategy on the back of that. What is your own view and your own thinking?
I'm sorry, I'm not too updated on the numbers on the monetization, but what I heard last year, they had planned about 1 lakh crores. They were able to achieve that. Even this year, the number which they have achieved, which they mentioned, is very large, though the number which is yet to be achieved is also pretty large. But again, on monetization, I would say we just read it in the papers or in the media that they're planning also to monetize the stadias. So these are things which we had not thought of 3 to 4 years ago. I think, again, what I think we need to appreciate is the process, the fact that some of the ministries and departments have actually gone much way forward, and the others are now trying to get there. And once they do the first, second, third one, I think it will be much faster. So, and monetization is something that would help in creation of more infrastructure, given more money to those corporates and those entities. So I think while we may have failed, I would not be hesitant, or I would not try to defend that I have failed. If I have failed, I have failed. But the fact is that these are first time attempts being made by any government in the 75 years that we have, and if we have succeeded quite a bit, the InvITs have started functioning in a lot of ministries. So I think it's a good step. We need to appreciate, we need to buck them up so that they do more in the coming year.
As you look at the economy today, and given the challenging global environment, India is not immune to what is happening globally, but we've been surprisingly resilient in the face of all of the headwinds at this point in time. What's the sense that you get in terms of growth, not just for the current fiscal, but more importantly for the road ahead?
This year, I think we have, though there have been some changes in the downgrades by some of the entities, but still we'll be the highest growth country amongst the larger economies of the world. I think we'll continue to be like that. There are headwinds, the petroleum prices, the commodity prices, the war that is going on, what is going to happen in the economy of Europe and the US. If all that is taken into account, and if we say that that will not have an impact on us, it will definitely have an impact on us, but depends how much impact will it have. So I think we would continue to outshine and have better growth rates than what the other countries will be able to show in this medium-term period. How much will that be? Whether that will be 7.5%, 8%, or will it be 6.5% is something, a question of a number. But I would say whether the path that we are taking is the right path is the important part. And I think we really need to be very careful about the fiscal policies, the monetary policies which the RBI is following, and ensure that we remain on that right path and don't falter, because that's very important for us.
Speaking of policies, I want to address what we are seeing as far as cryptocurrencies are concerned in light of the global crypto collapse. We chose to move a bill, we chose twice to pull it back, and then of course we brought in the tax. In hindsight and in light of what you are seeing, do you believe that today the RBI stands vindicated in saying that there should be a ban as far as cryptocurrency is concerned?
The jury is out. I'm not there to say anything on that, but what I'll say is that yes, we were not able to decide and come to the parliament as to what we wanted to do, whether we wanted to ban it or not ban it. The people who wanted to ban it gave the arguments. RBI was on the forefront of that. People who didn't want to ban it said that you can't ban it in technology terms today, so let's regulate it. This is the technology of the future. I think last year the questions were also different, that are you going to, the blockchain technology will not come up if you don't allow this. But the questions have changed based on what is happening there. But I would say I stand vindicated in taxing
by bringing in the tax
rates on the cryptos. And I think that's something now. In fact, the message that I'm getting from my colleagues who are traveling all over the world is that other countries are also admiring this step. And we were one of the first countries to do that, and they feel that yes, that is something that was required to be done.
Speaking of new taxes that require to be brought to the table, every year around the budget time, the speculation starts on whether the government is going to consider bringing in an estate tax or not. Given, and I'm not asking you whether this budget is going to do that or not, but do you believe that that is a legitimate option for the government to consider, given the complexities involved?
One is the complexities involved. The second is, I haven't seen very recent study that even if we do that tax, how much of the revenues we would get. My own view is that if I'm going to get like wealth tax also, you didn't take that name, but wealth tax also forms part of that. If you're going to get not a very huge tax revenue from that avenue, and the implementation is going to be very tedious and you'll have to do a lot of things, then maybe we can think of other ways of raising resources rather than just doing it this way, because there are some other countries that are doing the same way.
Mr. Bajaj, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us on CNBC-TV18. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you over the course of the last 2.5 years. And of course, we are going to miss you on Budget Day for sure, but we hope to have you join us on that day, albeit from the other side. But thank you very much for joining us as always.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Well, with that, it is time for us to wrap up this CNBC-TV18 special from all of us here at North Block. Thanks very much for watching.